Sal, as a request, can you please put that in the beginning of the show?
Definitely. I'll probably keep
this. I'm on the version that has 10 different versions for 10 hours. I just don't have the stamina for that. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the RSN Wrestling Podcast. We literally spell wrestling, so if you are here because you like wrestling, well, welcome home. I am Nick. I run a fun little website called ProWrestlingOpinion.com. We give you all sorts of news, reviews, everything from the mainstream to the indies, and all that ensues. And I've been on this podcast for, actually, we've been kicking it since 2015, I believe. So that would make it our 4th year in succession, outlasting all of the other pro wrestling podcasts out there, I'm sure. We'll do some fine research on that to come on our next show. But yeah, my name is Nick. They call me the Knight that runs the site. And I'll throw it to my other 2 pals on here. And I'll throw the bouquet up in the air, and I'll let them fight over it. I'll stand in the background and look pretty in the corner, like I always do.
The winner is going to win, so it doesn't matter.
Apple always
wins. That's how I start this.
Android,
man.
you gotta get with the times, man.
No, man.
It's 1932 over there.
No, man. It's 2023 over here, man. You guys are stuck in 2008.
See, they're so delusional. They think they're 4 years ahead of us.
I'm telling you, it's like Steve Jobs reincarnated and came to Android.
Yeah, and then once he found out Android was the only option, he decided to go back.
Maybe. Never know. Well, let me start up. Yep. Let me just start up here. So I'm, of course, the mastermind, basically the person that runs the YouTube page. We also run we co-run the Facebook and the Instagram pages also with Rich, the big guy.
I also run the Twitter page.
The Twitter machine.
And that's like, the dungeon that's made from Brooklyn all the way to Connecticut. But I know you're coming up with new content, right, Rich?
Yeah, I'm trying to get off the train. Trying to make new technology, like transporting and shit.
Don't tell me it's MTA.
No, I'm going to be building a personal transporter.
Mm-hmm. Just like you guys, I mean, we talk about this all the time here in New York. MTA sucks with service. You know, whether you're taking the 7 line and you're coming from Flushing, whether you're taking the Q, the B, the D, the F, the N coming from Brooklyn, just to go to wherever show you got to go to or whatever. If you're going to Barclays or MSG, let's go through a journey. Basically talking about everything that happened in the year of 2018. So, of course, this is I don't know if we dubbed it the Slammlammies or the year-end in review. I personally like saying the year-end in review, but I think we could say Slammlammies, right? We can interchange those 2 terms, right?
Yeah, Slammlammies, it's more fun to say.
A little Vince McMahon probably might sue us for slight infringement.
Yeah, probably.
How dare you, Slammy! You can't use that. You're fired.
It's like they own the word anything with lammy in it or slammy.
Well, here's the thing. He can't fire us because, like all elite wrestling, we run this bitch.
This is a private enterprise of 3 individuals talking their views, just like all your fans. You know, you guys probably want to get like an unfiltered voice, hearing stuff. That's definitely what you're getting here. Also, you got to take a time out. Start with PWO. Before we go into, of course, our year in review, Nick, I just got to talk about PWO at intermission. You gotta tell us about that, man.
Yeah, sure. Well, with this show obviously being the only exception, a pro wrestling podcast that you should be listening to in excess of, sometimes we do go 2 hours long. A lot of our pro wrestling audience, they just want quick hits, fast news, on with your day, and that's that. Pro wrestling opinion has brought out the newest sensation in the podcast world called intermission. And basically, I read through my social media feeds. I go through Facebook, and I just comment on what I see, everything happening in pro wrestling for that day. Just a full-on, straight-up 15 minutes, unfiltered, uncensored, unedited. And that's basically it. Already talked about a lot of AEW because they seem to be dropping news by the day, by the hour almost. And yeah, I mean, a lot of it's about that. Also touched up a little bit on Chris Benoit and the Hall of Fame. There's been some Dr. tweets going on about that, talking about.
Oh, he just said the name.
Yeah, I said the name, but that's all right. We're gonna say it again, Chris Benoit.
After how many years? After 12 years.
12 years, yeah, going on 12 years, and it's still a rumor.
He could say the name because we run this bitch.
There are also rumors about Goldberg possibly being involved in AEW in some capacity. Mean Gene just recently passed away, so that's been a thing as well. I'm actually going to be talking about that a little bit. There's also rumors about AJ Styles going to AEW if he's somehow wrapped up in these plans. Kenny Omega had a big offer from WWE. They tried pulling out all the stops, but it sounds like he's going to be going to AEW. I mean, his best friends are all there, so why wouldn't he join?
Yeah, did you hear the contract they wanted to give him?
Set for life. So I mean, who's to say what's really going to happen? Remember when the Broken Hardys appeared in WWE at WrestleMania? There was literally a story 2 days beforehand that had said, "Oh, we're not doing WWE. We'd rather just stay and do what we're doing now." And 2 days later, what did they do? So don't believe everything you read on the internet, people, because there's still a chance you could get surprised.
Unless it's from Pro Wrestling Opinion.
Unless it's from Pro Wrestling Opinion, which we plan that surprise, and you people will love it. But yeah, that's the gist of intermission. Just straight up 15 minutes. Nick talks about pro wrestling news. What's better than that?
That's right. I mean, like I said, we're not just talking about. I think the tagline, especially for this edition of the Year-End in Review podcast, we talk about this being a. This is not just WWE. Not anything we do with whether it's PWO, whether it's RSN Wrestling Podcast, whether it's intermission, whether it's whatever. It's not just WWE. There's also other things out there. There's other companies. There's other different things in the, I guess, multiverse of wrestling, should we say, right? So, and in reality, there's actually a lot more going on, if you really think about it. Well, since we're on the topic of that, let's start with, I guess, something that I think we can all, this is something that's pretty debated between the three of us when we first picked our categories. So how we just did this was we just made like a little spreadsheet, put out who's what in what category. It's probably about 12 categories, I'd say. And then basically we just listed it out. Some of the things are kind of things that we have in common. Some of the things are things that are different. We're just going to briefly just give the overview and stuff. So I'd like to start with promotion of the year. Rich, you're the RSN, so you start, man.
My pick for promotion, Ring of Honor. The reason why
think about it. I mean,
the reason why I picked Ring of Honor, there was so much going on this year with them doing cross promotions with New Japan. They have Lucha Underground stars. A lot of the talent was on the Chris Jericho cruise, wrestling other talents from Impact Wrestling, New Japan Wrestling. And so far, from all the shows that I've seen, they did not disappoint at all.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of interesting. We went to Final Battle of 2017, right?
Yes.
2017. So this is off the heels of 2017, going straight into 2018. They had a lot of storied rivalries in all the year of 2018. A whole bunch of different, matches and stuff like that. And if you were to kind of do like a full analysis from the starting to the end, you see a lot of different kind of possibilities and matches, different kinds of things. People leaving, people coming in, So, of course, WWE had their recent class where I think they pulled Punishment Martinez from ROH. You know, they of course took Matt.
Yeah, they had a nice little class in the Performance Center this year.
Yeah, and of course, like I said, we were there. War Machine. They went ahead and, of course, they did their kind of like a bow. That's kind of like saying, oh, you know, we're done. So people were they got that like, holy shit, these people are actually leaving. And they actually left that year. In January, of course, the first takeover, they came up over there and basically, you know, took over. That's one thing right there, you know. I mean, for me, I gotta say it's gotta be New Japan Pro Wrestling. If you look at every year that they've done something, it's always had match of the year or something. For me, I'm talking specifically for me. I mean, if you tell me match of the year, it has to be one of whatever they're putting out, whether it's Wrestle Kingdom, something on Wrestle Kingdom, or something throughout the year. They started out with, I think it was, they started out the year, Wrestle Kingdom, big match, Jericho versus Kenny Omega. Pretty big show, pretty big deal. And caused a lot of buzz everywhere. It's like, oh shit, is Jericho in New Japan now? So just to kind of get that buzz, it was like, holy crap, he's actually going there now. And then, of course, you had people like Pac, a.k.a. Neville, who left WWE through a whole contractual bullshit and actually just got wrestling into the indies and stuff like that. Went to Dragon Gate. He's wrestling in New Japan and stuff like that, doing all this kind of stuff on the side. New Japan's where it's at, I think, in this. If you look at this, they're the direct competition to, of course, WWE. And if you look at like all the stuff they're doing this year, think about it now. Now they got Supercard of Honor. Of course, where? In Madison Square Garden. That's a big deal. You guys are having the Madison Square Garden. That's like WWE's house right there. That's WWE's backyard. So it's kind of interesting to see it, and that's kind of interesting to see what's going to happen with that. You know. So for me, that's got to be promotion of the year. They got a lot of shit going on, and there's a lot of shit that's continuing to going to be happening soon.
Nick, what was your pick for a promotion?
I'm gonna go WWE. Just as they've always been throughout the year and years. They still are the number one mainstream promotion. 2019 could be the year they actually have a big legit challenge. AEW is really knocking on the door. This could be a really big year for wrestling, especially with Chris Jericho's name in the mix for AEW. PHC's in there now. A lot of people are flocking over there. So while it's diverting some attention from New Japan, the early days of January was going to be New Japan's days, but AEW is doing a lot of circulating on social media. And everywhere you look is something about All Elite, and they're playing their cards right. But one has to wonder if they're going too much too soon. We could very well be talking about AEW as promotion of the year for next year's #Slammlammies, but I don't really know who's to say. But again, I'm gonna go with WWE just because they still got WrestleMania, SummerSlam, the big 6 are 9 hours long. There's more live specials now than ever. They've been to Saudi Arabia. They did the Greatest Royal Rumble, the Crown Jewel, the Evolution, the this, the that. You know, they're hitting themes left and right. And you know,
Sal, did you get the update?
If we could go back in time. Yeah,
Sal, did you get the update?
Which update?
WrestleMania started tomorrow.
I think we said that. I think WrestleMania started past the Survivor Series, right? But yeah, I think it's true. Yeah, WrestleMania started tomorrow. Yeah, you're right.
And it's lasting all the way through January.
And February and March and April.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
They're bringing back Sin Cara for the pre-match show.
Jesus. Please leave him off.
Well, here's the thing. They had a history. We talked about this many, many times in the past. The first WrestleMania was a 3-hour show. Then it was a 4-hour show. Then it was a 6-hour show.
Now
Might as well make it start 12. Now. No, I say forget that. Just make it start today. Starting today is WrestleMania. And then April, whatever, or May, whatever, is done. That's pretty much WrestleMania right there. If you really want to be, you know, WWE, they're trying to. I mean, I give one thing to WWE. They're the biggest produced company. They have a high production, basically. The production value is the highest. They have all a big library. They pretty much acquired every single company, basically WCCW, AWA, NWA. They tried to get into every single market from wrestling. Pretty much, they want to be the encyclopedia of wrestling right there. So it's true that when it comes to quality production, WWE is on top. If any other company had the same production as New Japan, they'd probably be successful. They'd probably be standing out there. But
not even that, friggin' ROH also.
Yeah. But the thing is, what separates them is there's a difference, of course, between production and quality. So I think everybody knows about that. Of course, when you look at the quality of the program, of course, WWE has had a lot of ups and downs also, especially with the Raw ratings as of late. It's been going down now. And they've admitted it, too. Of course, they were on, they were on Raw, I think. In a segment, they actually revealed it saying, and they actually acknowledged it saying, ratings are shit. It's because Brock Lesnar's not here. Everyone's like, oh.
And if you remember when Shane came back, what was it, 2 years ago he came back? When he made a surprise return? Yeah. I'm back because you and your husband are driving this company into the ground. Yep. The ratings have been lower than ever.
That's right. And the sad is that, and there could be like a statistical kind of thing. If you look at like Nielsen or whatever, they might tell you that, in the past, this is the lowest rating in the past 10 years. Maybe. You never know. We probably got to do more research on that and probably find out exactly what it is. But I think everybody can agree.
I have been looking at the ratings. They're pretty bad.
Pretty bad, yeah. I mean, and people make the argument, it's X million, whatever, then they're down.
It's 2.2 million every week, but
don't forget all the emphasis on TV ratings isn't really as relevant as it once was, let's say 15, 20 years ago. There's nobody really, a lot of people watch in the moment, but everybody can watch online.
Demand.
They can watch on
DVR.
Demand the next day. They can just record the show, watch it when they want to. They'll see clips on YouTube, things on Facebook. Nobody's really watching it in the moment.
That's right, the cord-cutting movement. I mean, of course, there's different mediums now.
To be honest, between all three of us, Sal, do you watch it live or no?
No.
Nick, do you watch it live?
Not unless it's a big show.
I wait till the next day, to be honest.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, like I said, everybody got something to do.
Only thing WWE wise I watch live is NXT. Well, it's not live, but every Wednesday at 8:00, I'm watching NXT.
Yeah, I think that's what it is now. Yeah.
I'm seeing a lot of things on Facebook now. Billy Gunn's apparently.
Yeah, he's a head producer.
They pulled in Bryce Remsburg, who's like well known on the independent circuit as a referee. He's done a lot of Shikara events. He posted about Double or Nothing. It's nothing to play around with. They're really.
I mean, when you look at for example Cody. If you look at this year, of course they had their event All In. WWE probably looked at that and critics said it's not gonna sell. They sold out a whole stadium in 30 minutes. That's crazy. That's got to say something. They sold out like a whole arena.
They were there to sell 10,000 tickets. They sold 11,000.
Yeah. It just comes to show it now. I think that's what it is now. And again, WWE's biggest argument, I think, is just our production is top value. Look at ROH this past year. I think past year, maybe a year and a half, they released their own kind of, I think, online platform, kind of like a WWE network. They're doing the same thing now. Where you pay a monthly membership and you get to get access to ROH. You get to see live.
It's actually cheaper.
It's actually cheaper, yeah. And then, of course, you see like New Japan. New Japan has New Japan World. You can basically go ahead and see that stuff. That's in direct competition to WWE. They got their own live.
And that's cheaper also. That's $7.99.
Yeah. $7.99. That's not bad. And, of course, now the rumors, of course, WWE. I think throughout the year, you guys probably heard it. They're trying to bring up the network pricing now.
They want to do different tiers.
Different tiers, yeah. It's just, again... It was a big move for WWE to make the WWE Network 5 years ago. But still, now it's like...
It's still it's still glitches.
Yeah, and then people, of course, there's always... Every time there's a pay-per-view coming up where the wrong person wins, there's always, cancel the network movement. There's always a hashtag cancel the network, so...
Hashtag I'm canceling my network.
Yeah, I'm canceling my network because there's something that happens,
But I will say this, they were the first... big company to take on the streaming platform, and now if you look at every other company, Now they have their own streaming service. So WWE kind of started.
That's right. WWE actually took the risk, and that was a very risky move. I think shareholders were like, that's risky. Because if you think about it, $50 a pay-per-view versus, or the $60 a pay-per-view versus
$9 a month.
That's a big gamble right there. So they kind of said, shit, man, what do we do? But now they're trying to, they done that. They were the first to do that, and now everybody else is doing it. So
the
that's
only thing that's hurting them is the fact that I have the network just said. I could give both of you guys my network account information.
Yeah. And then they talk about how Vince is giving away the power of WWE's library to the consumer. That's basically what you're doing. You're giving us access to all that stuff right there. Of course, there's legal stuff too. You can't legally infringe it and say, oh, this is what it is. But you literally just gave someone access to the stuff. Any other wrestling promotion can see that. They can take notes, do whatever. They go from there. Of course, let's of course go on to the next category, I guess. Match of the year. Let's talk about that.
Nick, what's your match?
We gotta talk about this, So all three of us had some very similar categories, and there's a big similarity between these three things. So Nick, I think you should start,
man. Yeah, you think so? Well, I will be honest. I didn't really watch much of wrestling in 2018. I was purposely kind of preparing for the year because with PW, I'm going to be doing all different kinds of reviews from different shows, different eras. I'm basically going to pick a number, and I've locked down the majority of content on the WWE Network, and I'm going to be adding other platforms to it soon. I pick a number at random, boom, that's the show. Could be a Raw from 99, could be WCW, a Slamboree 2000. Or, dear God, I hope that doesn't come. But yeah, we'll be changing up our content, so that's going to be cool. So that being said, I kind of had to sacrifice one for the other, so didn't really see too much of wrestling. But out of what I did see, there was a lot of praise, and how could you not, for the NXT product, still continuing to do what it has always done, taking the biggest names around the industry that seemingly AEW hasn't swooped up now. Now it looks like they're pulling the NXT card a little bit, playing their own game. So that could be interesting. Seems like AEW is going for the big guns, but I think NXT could be a more direct competition. So that it'll be interesting to kind of see how that comes about as the year progresses. But obviously, Ciampa, Gargano, you already knew their chemistry as a tag team. If there was anything about opponents, if anything, it only got better. I mean, those two guys, a wrestling ring could not contain them, and we saw everything play out. Storyline was fantastic. The in-ring action. When you're looking for wrestling, there's nothing better to look for when you have history in a storyline, and you can let it play out in a match. And it's just impressive to see how far these guys have come. Hopefully, they don't mess up the main roster. We know a call-up is eventual, but let's just hope they don't squander it, because I've seen this happen with countless guys coming from NXT. They build them up so good, and then they go on the main roster and they suck. So, really hoping that's not the case. But I'll open the forum up to you guys. What do you guys think?
Sal, what's your pick?
I gotta add on to that. So, I picked Ciampa and Gargano too, simply because of the fact. If you were to pick any of them, they all told a story. That's what I like about it. Every match should tell a story. As much as people like Jim Cornette say that, they always drill that. They always make that point. Like, they're arguing that, Ospreay, and Ricochet shouldn't be flying around because it's not traditional wrestling or whatever. Wrestling matches should be telling stories. This is true though, no evident. And people have been making comparisons between this match, or this rivalry, should I say, and Triple H and Shawn from 2002, 2003.
I said that so many times, that comparison.
Yeah. There's so many comparisons, and the spots that they did and everything probably superseded what they did when they did that. Between them taking the ring apart, Gargano, Ciampa going to him, throwing the ring apart and everything like that. Ciampa being loaded onto that, the stretcher, and then, Gargano just making a jump. There's a whole bunch of spots that were like, it told a story. Everything told a story, So that's why I kind of like this match. If you could pick any of them, definitely pretty much, the ones, of course, like the all last man standing matches, for the title or whatever. Everything was all built up. So for me, that's got to stay. Just to add on here. Rich.
My pick, there's only one match that stuck out to me. That was the match that Dusty made, which the second one was better than the first. War Games.
The whole match, yeah. That was probably, like, again, they got a lot of backlash going. I don't know if you guys can do as good as, this might be something.
It's a backlash.
It might be something that's, it's true. Backlash, yeah. But it does. It's kind of like, why bring back something from WCW? Of course, people looked at it and said, why would you create something that's, from the past and everything? It's not really going to work in this time. They made it work, though. So you got to give them credit for that, yeah.
And all 8 competitors did not disappoint at all.
No. Oh, my God. That was a really, really good feud. And the way that they built that up from start to finish, Ricochet coming in, doing all his spots and everything. And, of course, then it was like a fight between.
According to someone named Jim Cornette, Ricochet destroyed that match because it wasn't real wrestling.
And a lot of traditionalists will say that. They'll be like, oh, this is just high-flying spots. What are you talking about, high-flying spots, bro? If you look at all what they did, there was a lot of this, the storytelling was going on in that match, too. From the start, Pete Dunne, they're not letting Pete Dunne go out. And then once he comes out to the end, starts doing all this shit, the crowd goes wild. It's like a tag match where someone's trying to get a hot tag. Same thing. Right when he comes out, the shit goes off the fan. It's like, oh, shit. Pete Dunne's coming in. And he does his spots and everything. Then, of course, War Machine, that's another element there. It's crazy. It was great. And then, of course, you got the Undisputed Era.
War Raiders.
War Raiders. I got that again. Fuck. I botched that one. Real bad.
Next category, let's switch it up. This category, let's go OMG moment of the year. And I say we started with Sal.
This was probably something that's, I think, a lot of OMG moments this year. It's hard to kind of pinpoint. I think for me, I gotta stick to All In. All In. Of course, Cody's making the pay-per-view. You never know who's gonna show up. Pentagon's there. You have people from TNA or Impact, should I say. You got people from Lucha. You got people from, MLW. You got people from everywhere coming into that show. And you're like, damn, who else is going to be here? Young Bucks are here. Cool. Cody's here. Cool. New Japan, all the other stars are here. Great. Could see some great matches here. And who shows up? Jericho shows up. For me, that was the OMG moment. You see Jericho show up.
That one just shocked the shit out of everyone. No one expected that.
Yeah, and this is the thing. Of course, you look at the politics behind All In, between Vince, trying to, I guess, snub that event or whatever. He's trying to get involved or something, close the venue down, do anything he can just to kind of say.
He actually tried to get Rey Mysterio off that show.
Yeah. That's another thing, too. It's like, to do petty shit just to go ahead and say that, oh, I'm not going to let you prove that, you were right or whatever. That one man can't be, can't fill a arena with 10,000, 11,000 people. He did it, though. And then on top of the fact who showed up, what kind of a show it was a hell of a show. A lot of good matches, a lot of good, performances. Jericho, for me, showing up was just like, holy shit, Jericho's here.
Remember, and Uncle Dave dared them. Uncle Dave said, oh, you can't fill up 10,000 seats.
Yeah. And they did. And, of course, if you know the relationship between Jericho and WWE, it's a tight relationship. So you got to wonder and think, damn, man, if Jericho does this, what does Vince probably think? Of course, I think he said it many times in interviews before that if, like Jericho, when it was New Japan show against Omega, Vince just gave the green light. He's like, sure, no problem. It's all right. I'm on support for it.
Because he probably thought it was just a one-time thing.
Yeah, he thought it was just a one-time deal. And then I think when he mentioned that he was going to do some matches for his cruise and everything, they were like, okay, no problem. But you got to wonder now, especially if he shows up at All In. That's got to bring some heat now. So I think that kind of got me. It was like people didn't expect it, but it happened.
Mm-hmm. My pick for OMG moment goes back to my match of the year. It was the spot where Ricochet did a 630 off the top of the War Games cell.
That was cool. Hell of a spot. That's a scary ass spot to think about it.
But who else to do it?
Yeah. Rey Mysterio did that, 10 years ago, 15 years ago? Where he jumped off a cage and people were like, holy shit.
Yeah, but he didn't. Yeah. He didn't do it the way Ricochet does it.
He didn't just leap off. Like, Ricochet actually just spun around 300, like numerous times.
He
on
did
top of
a
a cage.
630 off a 25-foot cage.
It's crazy. No cushion, no nothing, no, safety spot. Anything could go wrong. Again,
but he trusted the 7 guys to do it.
If you talk to Jim Cornette, he'll probably say that's the most riskiest move ever. It's just spot wrestling. It's not doing nothing. All that. He did it, though. Yeah, it was a hell of a moment.
Mm-hmm. Nicholas?
Yep. Well, I'll go with the more mainstream OMG moment, and that'll just be the Dana Ambrose heel turn. Sure, they kind of flirted with it a little too much, dragged it out for a few months longer than they should have, but you can't say that the moment they did it was not the right night to do so. Sure, there were questions of, well, why take advantage of, Roman Reigns' real life leukemia announcement, but that's kind of how pro wrestling works. Is you take real life events and you utilize them for entertainment purposes. Don't forget, it's a scripted sport. A lot of the matches are already predetermined. You kind of have to just make us suspend disbelief, because in reality, we're watching, The Undertaker is essentially is very outlandish if you really think about it. So it's asking a lot for pro wrestling fans to suspend their disbelief, and if you could mix real life drama with really good entertainment, WWE would have much better product in their hands. But there are a few times where they flash some brilliance, and this was actually it. Has the heel run been worth it for Ambrose? I'm not 100% sure, but you can't really deny that they gave him a really hot start.
Yeah, well said, yeah. I think what it is again, people make the comparison. They look at the top heel and they go, why can't he be like this? Why can't he be like that? We talk about like heels. If we were to say, let's take a moment. Let's take a break right here in a moment. Who's the top heel of 2018 in your mind?
Top heel of 2018? All companies, right?
All companies, indies included. That's what I was trying to say. You're in review.
Sami Callihan.
Best heel.
Sami Callihan.
What about you, Nick?
It's hard to say. I feel like I kind of would give it to Ambrose. He's actually like week in, week out, actually trying to get people to hate him. And he sold a curb stomp for 15 minutes after a show ended. So
yeah, that was legendary the way he did that.
My reason for Sammy, he fucking broke Eddie Edwards' eye socket, stalked his wife.
Yeah.
What more heelish things can you do besides breaking someone's eye and stalking the guy's wife?
Yeah, that's true. I think what it is again, but I mean, when you look at, let's say, for me, I'd say the heel for me, Jericho probably. Jericho, but not just Jericho, but Jericho in New Japan. For me, that's the heel of the year for this year alone. Like if you look at all the different segments and stuff like that, and I think you can make the same argument for Sammy, and you can make the same argument for Dean too. Indy, Sammy,
that's true.
Indy, John. No, like take away Dean Ambrose, put John Moxley in there. John Moxley heel versus Dean Ambrose heel. Everybody's obviously gonna pick John Moxley heel. If you say Sami Callihan heel, of course, if you look at all his work back when he was in, before NXT, before he did all his other stuff, hell of a heel with John Moxley. Pretty big stuff that they did all the time. And people look at that and they look at that as like, oh shit, this is a pretty big deal right here. Jericho, if you look at the same thing, if you take him into the WWE environment and make him a heel, it's good, but not as much. You look at like him in New Japan, he could curse, he could do whatever. He's flipping off cameramen, he's beating up fucking, referees and young boys and everything. How much better can you get with that? It's the thing. I think again it's the same thing with Ambrose. I think they're kind of limited. It's still got time to develop, but it's it'll probably pay off. You never know. It might it'll pay off sometime. It's just a matter of the right circumstance, the right environment, and what the situation is. This is right after the heels of quote unquote. Oh, that's another pun. The heels of course, Roman getting his leukemia diagnosis, and then of course, the Shield breaking up. You gotta think about it. That's a big move. First, you went ahead.
Going back to what Nick said about OMG, they did kind of do it on the wrong night, though. The heel turn.
Yeah.
They did kind of do that. Yeah. It was a bad time to do it.
It was a bad time, but
I disagree. That was the best night to do it, just because you would think, oh, it's definitely not happening on this night, and well, they did.
It's just like when
everybody was legitimately surprised, and that's what you need from an OMG.
They took advantage of that situation. I mean, that's the thing. That's a really good way of how they book it. I mean, it's a good thing. You look at Randy Orton.
Who's to say they didn't have it planned already, and that it just so happened that Reigns had to do what he did. Yeah. They can't rearrange the whole show just because of that. They just took it and made it as investable as possible.
I mean, if you look at, let's say, like Randy Orton and Eddie, this is a small comparison. Of course, when they had that whole thing where, Eddie and all that stuff, Randy Orton comes out and stuff and says, oh, Eddie's not in heaven, he's in hell. That kind of
that was a holy shit moment. That wasn't even an OMG. That was a holy shit moment.
That was like you're touching the wrong, it's not the right time for that. Too soon. But they did it, it's like, all right, they're taking advantage of it. So
another thing, CM Punk with the whole Paul Bearer thing.
Yeah, that was, oh man. Yeah, the company got backlash for that, but they still did it, and then they made it heel. So yeah. I think moving on. I mean, I think we talking about heels and stuff like that. We gotta talk about Superstar of the Year. Well, not Superstar of the Year. Female of the Year.
This one was unanimous. The man, Becky Lynch.
Yeah. I think in this category we should have said female, and probably she is the Superstar of the Year, if anything, because she is the man. She honestly is. The way, you gotta look at this whole story. It's crazy, man. It's from the start to the beginning. It's a hell of a turn. Everything went in her favor, and she.
Even if she didn't have that heel turn, it was still her year.
It was, yeah. It's true. From the moment that she's turned, of course, she did her whole thing. She won the title. People just went, oh, whatever. It's just, her turning heel. It's just like any other heel turn. Then after that, the whole Survivor Series deal where freaking, she gets into a brawl, busts her face up because of Nia. Nia just goes ahead and clocks her around the face, breaks her nose. She walks off and goes, whatever, blow with her face, just going off and just going, fuck that, I don't care.
This is my show. And she's not even on the show, and she still runs Raw.
What I like about her, though, is it's 100%, it's 24/7, 365. You can see it's not just on the camera, it's actually off the camera, too. You see her on Twitter. She's savage on Twitter.
Oh, my God. She is amazing on Twitter.
She's straight up savage. Like, people are calling her out, and she's like, what? And then be like, oh, shit. I'm not gonna say nothing anymore. People get scared.
She's almost like Wendy's.
Yeah, that's right. That's basically it's a right comparison. She's basically like how Wendy's, of course, trying to be savage and everything, try to respond. Same exact deal. She's trying to be just as savage.
My favorite tweet that she put out We can actually make a new category right now. Favorite Becky Lynch tweet.
Yeah.
Mine was, remember when Charlotte got fined for the whole thing she did at Survivor Series when she beat the shit out of Ronda with the kendo stick?
Yeah.
And she got fined $10,000. If you look on Becky's Twitter around that time, I opened my bank account and I saw $10,000 missing. I wonder who took it.
What the hell?
It was just her taking a shot at Charlotte.
That's the thing. I think it's just her savage, like her, her gimmick. I think part of it, people are saying that, her heel turn is mainly her being savage about stuff. Like if it's her on a segment, if it's her on Twitter, it's all about her trying to make someone uncomfortable or upstage them and bring real life stuff into it. You talk about, like, for example, Cena. She talked about, she threw shots at Cena in a recent segment. Talking about, I don't just, talking about Nikki saying, at least I don't let people into bed or whatever, all this stuff. People are like, oh shit, you really did, do that shit. Like, damn, you don't have to say that stuff. It kind of caught people off guard. So,
I mean, my take on it is remember how Becky Lynch was in like 2015, 2016, the punchline giving Irish last kicker. She just tried to be the funny one in the segment, and now look at her. The funny thing is, the more you try to get, so virtually they try to go full-fledged heel with this, the more they try to get you to hate someone, the more you end up loving them, which even baffles me further, because I don't know why they still never tried it with Roman Reigns when they had the chance. For some reason, they seem to do with everybody else, and Becky Lynch is just the best example. It's just, trying to turn someone heel, and then, they just end up being themselves, and that's what people are going to gravitate towards.
Yeah, many examples. Look at, like, for example, Rusev Day. People were all over that. First, it was like a thing that was annoying, and then oh, shit, this is dope. Elias, same thing. People looked at it and said, and then later on, it started to become a thing now, so that's one thing. You could even say that for Joey Ryan. People looked at that and said, yo, this guy's out of this world. And then you started doing, all that stuff. People were grabbing towards, like, all right, that's Joey Ryan. Fuck it.
There's just something about him I don't like. I don't know what it is.
Yeah. When we talk about, like, I guess, should we say, if we talk about all the different segments, of course, throughout the year, a lot of different things happen, right? A lot of things that are inappropriate, a lot of things that are, oh shit, this is something that's there. I mean, it's not as far as, it could be as, it could be just a stare down between Brock Lesnar and and Braun Strowman on the screen, just talking about shit, be doing dub with his shit, or it could be as savage as like Mae Young calling Michelle McCool and Layla dumb sluts, whatever, on live TV. I mean, this whole year is filled with different kind of segments, right? I mean, so let's talk about segments, right? Pipe bomb promo segment of this year, of 2018.
You want me to start this one?
Yeah.
My pick was Tessa Blanchard going after Taya Valkyrie when Taya made her return after a brief getaway from Impact. Basically saying the only reason why you're in the wrestling industry and you're so popular is because of your husband.
Yeah.
And basically saying you're not a champion, you're a paper champion in any other company you were in. It was basically her attacking her verbally, saying you're only popular because who you're sleeping with.
That's right.
Which, even though that's not true, it was still pretty funny.
Well, Tessa Blanchard, she's trying to get back into, she's really trying to get back into the spotlight, though, right? Like, she's trying to get on WWE's radar again and all that stuff. She's really trying.
To be honest, I don't want her going there. She's fine where she is.
I think that's with anybody. If you look at things like, look at like Juice Robinson from, he was in NXT, Didn't get much vibe. He went over there, went to New Japan, U.S. champion, IC champ, whatever. Did a lot of hell of a program, and he's changed up his whole character. It benefited him,
Has a great rivalry with Cody.
Yep. Cody, same thing. He left WWE, became a big star. Look at people like, you look at, all these other people that are in NXT now. Freaking Drew McIntyre went to TNA, went to Impact, did his thing, came back. He's in the good graces of the company. EC3, Derek Bateman. People laughed at him back then when they had him. They had the little segments and stuff. It was like
God, that was horrible.
Ridiculous. Derek Bateman versus EC3.
He regrets that character so much.
That's right. And I think that for him, that was just, okay, this is time to have fun, whatever. But now it's like, he's on the main roster, quote unquote, he's coming through. It's just, now he's on this kind of level, like, okay, I can be myself now. I can do what I want now. And that's it, So it's evolution of character, so that's true,
And from what it seems like, he's having a great time running with this EC3 character.
That's right. We talk about pipe bombs, promos, segments, should we say. For me, I think, for Nick, I think we both had the same one. Jericho and New Japan.
Yep.
Just Jericho and New Japan, period. I think we talked about this before. For me, it was just the fact that the amount of stuff that comes out of his mouth, his actions, he's able to go ahead and draw some attention. Whether spitting in, Naito's face, Naito just being like a dickhead, just, ignoring shit, trying to get his attention. And then, Jericho trying to just go ahead and go off on this guy. To his attire, to everything, it's all him. I think if the Attitude Era were to come back, this would be Jericho in the Attitude Era, the new Jericho in the Attitude Era. But, we can't do that. We can't bring like a time machine and say, bring him back and, do whatever.
Oh, Jericho does have the money. He could make a time machine and do that.
He could. But, I think it's much more better to just go to New Japan and say, fuck WWE and do your own thing. Because he has more control there. He can do whatever he wants with his gimmick. They don't give him that much problems. He could curse, and it doesn't matter. Because
look what he did at All In. Like, even though it's not New Japan, look what he did. Dressed up as Pentagon, made his little appearance, hit Kenny with the code breaker. Right after the show, flew to his own concert and performed with the Pentagon makeup on.
Yeah.
He would never be able to do that in WWE.
I think it's also a dedication that this guy has. If you look at, of course, recently there was Wrestle Kingdom. He had a match with Naito, and he got pile drive. He had like a whole bunch of cuts and whatever. Just
he
wearing
lost a chunk of hair.
Yeah, wearing it like a badge of honor. It was like, this is what it is. This is what you get when you're wrestling. So you gotta respect that. And he keeps trying to reinvent himself. He even said in many interviews, if I was to go back to WWE and did the whole listing, I wouldn't want to do it. Why? Because it's been done before.
He even said the list is retired.
Yeah, it's just, again, people want to see it. But, he talks about, he's like, fans want to come up to me and say, oh, can I be on the list? And he puts them on the list, no problem. He's like, I'll do that for a fan, but I'm not going to do that part of my act because he wants to continually evolve. So that for me is just something there. And of course, we're going to see more and more stuff from Jericho when it comes.
Yeah, that's something about Jericho that I love. And I read one of his books, and he always spoke about, he played the same tired babyface character for about maybe 6-7 years. So when the time came for his big heel turn, he basically stripped away everything people liked about the character, became a suit-wearing, self-righteous man. And then afterwards, he just kept changing it up. They became an egotistical rock star, a scarf-wearing fashionista. Then he became a list-toting, alliance-making, Kevin Owens befriending guy, and he always knows how to switch things up, and that's the thing I love about him. And even with all these appearances in New Japan and All In, when it comes down to one thing, and Chris Jericho is still relevant, and he can still wrestle. I mean, he can't go the way he once did, but it's all about the character. People are investing in the character, and that's all you need in pro wrestling. On a unrelated note, Zelina Vega and what is his face?
Andrade Cien Almas.
Yeah, there we go. They posted up pictures of them dressed as Team Rocket from Pokemon. I'm not sure why, but it's on there.
Because
It's
why
on the
not?
internet. Yeah, and that's the thing. Relating back to my point, you could do anything you want to draw attention, and Jericho is just—he's somebody who perfects it to an art. Even nowadays, when you have all the spoilers in the world on the internet, he's still 8 steps ahead of you.
Well, since you brought
One of
up
the few to do that.
Selena Vega and CN, even though none of us picked him for superstar to watch for 2019, why don't we just do that category?
Yeah.
My pick, Hangman Page.
Why Hangman?
24 years old, 6'5", 240, could flip like there's no tomorrow, as we saw at Final Battle 2017. Remember, he did the flip off the second balcony in the 6-man tag. And just for the fact his first feud in All Elite Wrestling is going to be Pac, which is probably going to be for probably their heavyweight title.
Yeah.
And just like I said before, the kid's 24, 25 years old. Kid has a bright future.
That's right. Yeah. I think it's just for us. I mean, I think for me and Nick, I think we have the same category. McIntyre. Simply, that's it. Just McIntyre. For me, that's just what it is. Nick, I don't know what you want to say.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the first time we've been on this road, and maybe have more traction as Drew Galloway, but there's no denying that all the hard work he did in Impact Wrestling and just all over the place kind of helped him get back to NXT, and he's been a real, breakthrough story if there ever was one, because he was once quote unquote the chosen one. So the fact that now he could actually hang with them and be treated like a main event talent. I think 2019 is just going to be an even bigger year, and they're setting all the cards right. So I was talking about on intermission a little bit how he has a really good chance to be a Royal Rumble winner, and I wouldn't be shocked if he did, or at the least made it to Final Four. If there's ever a year to go full throttle, this would be the year to do it.
Well, I was reading somewhere that there's 2 different plans for Rumble leading into Mania. There's Vince's plan and Triple H's plan. Vince's plan is Drew wins the Rumble, Brock wins his match against Braun, which leads to Drew versus Brock at Mania. Triple H is Seth wins the Rumble, and Braun wins the match, which leads to Seth versus Braun at Mania.
Yeah, I can see that. I think what it is
either one I could see, to be honest.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I think for me, it's just, again, the same thing. Drew McIntyre, Drew Galloway, whatever you want to call him, he's really improved on what he's done. Jinder talked about it before in an interview where he was talking about 3MB. And I think the same could be said for Heath Slater and Drew. They even said they were very unsatisfied with the whole character. WWE just wanted to throw them all together and say, okay, here's something for you guys to do. And Vince said, okay, this better work, because if it doesn't, we're throwing you guys out. And they were probably depressed. And Jinder probably said it many, many times. And I think Drew even said it. He said they were depressed at times. They were thinking, damn, where's it going to go? There's nothing really of substance in this gimmick. It's just a comedic gimmick. They were getting thrown away, doing all this stuff, buried. There's nothing really going on with them. No segments, no nothing. It's just, okay, this is what it is.
It was a pretty bad gimmick, but it was entertaining.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at Drew from then and now, I'm telling you, it's a lot of improvements. He decided to actually leave WWE, which isn't, he got Future Endeavored. And what did he do with it? He made the best of it. He went to, all the
Future?
He got Future Endeavored, I think, yeah.
I thought he asked for his release.
Something like that, yeah. I know for one, in 2011 when he first came in, Vince dubbed him the quote unquote chosen one. Then of course,
Is he actually Vince's godson?
Probably is. You never know. He's Scottish. Vince is Irish. Vince's family's Irish, right? I think.
So I read somewhere that it's actually his godson.
That's bizarre. I think that's probably a storyline because I heard something about how Drew was very, very what you call it, like WWE was like Vince. He was very, very high on Drew, so that's probably why. But I mean, when he first came in, of course, I think WWE, they just like WWE and all the people behind him just liked his look and everything and said, okay, this is what a star should be. But of course, you saw where that went. It didn't really go nowhere. But you see, this Drew now is going somewhere. Of course, he went to Europe. He went to Impact Wrestling, did his thing, became a big star. Of course, now WWE's like, oh, we're interested in this guy. Give this guy to us. We want to see what we can do with this guy. You see him. You see Bobby Lashley. You see EC3. They're showing up on Raw. They might be showing up, you never know. But still, they're making the best of it. Think about it. You went from this, leaving, coming back, all this stuff, to coming back on the main show now. You're on Raw, the flagship. That's a big deal in my book. So McIntyre, I think, is going to be the top prospect. And many people said they wouldn't be happy. Would you guys be mad if he was Universal Champ? I sure wouldn't.
I wouldn't.
I would be like, cool, better than Brock. I think we can all agree with that.
Yeah, because he'll actually show up every week.
Yeah, and actually put the work in. So that's another thing too.
What do you want to do? Tag team?
I think we should segue. Let's talk about botches. So I think botches, of course, everybody says it. There's not a single year that any wrestling company doesn't have a botch. There's always all kind of botches, whether it's speech impediment or whatever. We talk about, Mean Gene. Many times he's botched and stuff like that. It's hilarious. It's like legendary, So it's inevitable. But this year, it's a lot of botches. Oh, man. I think all three of us would be synonymous on this one, but I don't know.
Nick, what's your pick?
For me, it's just Titus O'Neil, greatest Royal Rumble. World Slide, that's it.
Titus World Slide.
Yeah, I had to go with that one.
Yeah.
I think we all did.
Yeah.
I'm shocked that Flash
has.
Talk about Jinder.
Well, of course, I think Jinder too. Jinder, I think they had a spot with Jinder where I think Jeff Hardy was doing the. Actually, it was the same show, wasn't it?
It was the same show. Jeff Hardy was doing Whisper in the Wind.
God damn. He did Whisper in the Wind. Jinder just flopped it and fell. Hilarious. It was like, God damn, come on. But I think, and it's the same show as Where's Royal Rumble. This is the first WWE event that's in Saudi Arabia. They botched that, all that stuff. It's like, shit, man. How much more can go wrong in this? I think that's the thing. But what do you think caused that? Why? It's two famous botches in one night.
I don't know. I think probably the flight.
Yeah, maybe it might be the flight. Maybe it might be jet lag. Well, what do you guys think about this whole thing with them in Saudi Arabia? I mean, they did, of course, the Greatest Royal Rumble earlier that year. That was like, okay, they have a 40-man Royal Rumble. What's that for? Nothing. Okay, it's just a little belt. That's it. And then after that, it's never even mentioned again. Then, of course, they had Crown Jewel later on, which was a hell of a shit show. So that's nothing to do.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Oh, man. And Triple H got injured. That's a pretty big deal. That's like shit, man.
Injured's not the word. He got destroyed.
Oh, man. It's crazy. But this whole thing with them and Saudi Arabia, what do you guys think this is going to go? Do you feel like maybe next, because I think they're slated for next year, but this year they're going to be having more.
It was 10 shows in 5 years.
Yeah. So it's a long-term relationship.
That was the deal that was made. It was 10 shows in 5 years.
I don't know. I feel like they try to impress everybody. I don't know. It's weird to go to a country that doesn't allow women to compete, and then weeks later have your own all-women wrestling show. It seems a little contradictory.
I mean, Vince has always been money. So I'm not really surprised, to be honest.
Well, you could be all about money, but also have a smarter business mindset because you're bound to piss some people off.
That's true. What's the next category, Sal?
So the next category is, I believe, let's see. We talked about female. We talked about match of the year. Oh my God moment. Top prospect. Pipe bomb. We got rookie. Rookie, and I think we could probably do breakout star if anything with it. Yes.
My rookie going to Ring of Honor, Jonathan Gresham.
I think Nick had the same one.
Yep.
There's just something about him. I see something in him.
I mean, I'm not familiar on John Gresham, but what made you guys pick John Gresham?
Well, you do remember we did see him live.
Right, in Final Battle, right? Who was he with? Who was he facing that night?
He fought Josh Woods, I believe.
Josh. Right. I think I remember, yeah.
That was the Future of Honor match. It was right before the show actually started.
Right, I remember that, yeah.
There was something about him I like. There's something about him.
So I guess he started, well, of course, I mean, looking at it, I'm doing like a small thing. He started on Chikara, and then he went to CZW, then WXW, then he's with Pro Wrestling 01 in Japan, and then basically went to ROH, and now, of course, he did a couple stints in TNA, but now he's in ROH full-time.
Once I saw him at Final Battle, I'm like, something about this kid.
Right. Do you see a little bit Jay Lethal in this guy?
What was
in regards to style and everything?
Who's your pick?
For me, I just picked somebody who I think is probably this whole year they're probably high on, but I think also he's probably going to get a big push. Lars Sullivan.
Okay. Not a bad pick.
Yeah. I think just looking at it, just all these guys that they're calling up, it seems like they have big plans for them. Whether it's Lacey Evans, whether it's Nikki Cross, whether it's Lars Sullivan, EC3.
I see her having a big year. Lacey.
Yeah. And that's the thing. If you look at her story, it's pretty crazy. She started, I think, she was a Marine. She said they said that she grew up in an abusive household. Her dad was abusive.
Her dad was a drunk and her mom was a druggie.
Yeah, hard childhood. And then she recently got into wrestling. Like recently, became a champion. I think in an indie company, and then she ended up. WWE wanted to pick her up as soon as possible. They got her.
And yeah, she's a hard hitter.
Yeah, she hasn't been on NXT for that long, too, right?
A little more than a year, maybe.
That's crazy. And then she's already called up to the main roster.
And what was the second one?
Another category is Breakout Star of the Year.
Velveteen.
Who was yours?
Yeah. Well, I think before we talk about
Yeah, the Velveteen. It just explains itself. The evolution of the character and his promo delivery. He keeps everybody guessing, and his matches just consistently get better.
He hasn't had a bad match either.
Yeah, that's pretty much all you need for the category.
He hasn't had a bad match at any takeover.
I think this development from starting out in Tough Enough, that's where I first saw him, then slowly going through NXT, doing his own thing, developing his character, infusing some people here and there, a little bit of Hulk Hogan, a little bit of, here and there, Razor Ramon, a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
Even a little Rick Rude when it came to the pants.
Yeah, and then he's like, "Oh, call me." He's like, "What's it called?"
Say my name.
Yeah, he's like, he said something about his tights. He's like, "Call me up, Vince."
Yeah, the last one.
Yeah, That was pretty dope. I like what they did with that.
And then his match against Aleister Black.
Yeah, that was pretty good. And all the spots that he does and everything, mimicking it and everything. Pretty good with the way he does it. Who was yours?
My pick, the gentleman I spoke about before, for heel, Sami Callihan.
Wait. I just realized something.
What?
Rich.
Yeah.
It seems like you're picking Impact Wrestling more this year than any other year before.
It's becoming a good company. This year has been really good.
Are you saying that Impact Wrestling is a pretty good company now?
Ever since they started coexisting with other companies.
Right. I mean, they are turning their act, I gotta say. And we talked about this in our shoot recently, where we talked about how if you look at all the different platforms they were on, they left Spike TV, went to Pop TV, went to Destination America, and the problem was always, how do I get to watch this? Oh, well, if you call up your cable company, they'll be like, oh, well, you have to go and buy this package in order to get this channel. I'm going to buy a whole package just to get this one channel. What kind of bullshit is that? So then that becomes a problem. People can't access it. They don't want to buy the extra package. Now you can't see it. The smart thing they did, of course, we talked about yesterday was they started now, they have all these international deals with Sky Sports, in the UK and Canada and India. And now
they're actually doing something different.
Yeah, now they're on Twitch. It's first ever heard of on a public platform. Twitch.
A video game platform, nevertheless.
Imagine how big the reach is on that. That's crazy. And of course, they got their whole network and everything. They're also on other things too, so they're definitely, they're stepping it up with their I guess their distribution. So I gotta give them credit for that. And this is a company that was like in trouble of being shut down as soon as possible.
Multiple times.
Yeah, they turned around, so that's one thing too.
But the big guy is actually admitting it's becoming a good company.
Damn, man. Things can change, man. 3 years ago, 2 years ago, it would have been like, fuck Impact, bullshit. Now it's starting to change. So that just comes to show you that shit changes, So that's one thing there. Last two categories. We got Tag Team of the Year and Superstar of the Year. Before we go into that, let's talk about Brand of the Year. Raw or SmackDown?
NXT.
Damn, that was out of nowhere. Nick?
Yeah, I would have to give it to NXT. They just know how to push wrestling.
And they have not let down at any of their takeovers.
Yeah. I think NXT is in its own category, I think, for me. When it comes to the quality of the program, it probably hands down has one of the biggest, the best qualities of programming. But when you gotta look at Raw versus SmackDown, for me, it's always every year we always gotta ask ourselves, what show stole the whole year? Look at it in the beginning, the Royal Rumble. The first Royal Rumble, it was the first Women's Royal Rumble. Who took it? SmackDown took it home. The first the Men's Royal Rumble, of course, SmackDown took it. Then of course you talk about Survivor Series at the end, later part of the year. Raw won all.
Since you brought up that,
yeah.
Did you know? Well, obviously this is the first women's one.
Yeah.
Both people who won, both Japanese, and they both lost at WrestleMania.
Yeah, that's another thing too. I mean, that's another thing too. That's again, for me, SmackDown I think is probably the better brand. And if you were putting NXT in that category, I think SmackDown is probably the better brand, hands down. Because if you look at it every week, if you had a choice between SmackDown and Raw, besides the fact that NXT was there, if you were to say, okay, NXT is taped, I already have the spoilers here, and believe me, there were a lot of spoilers that prevented me from watching NXT. Unless something big happened, I would watch it. For me, that's just me. But I would watch highlights and stuff like that, pretty much for everything. But SmackDown, for some reason, whenever you watch it, I wanted to watch it live. Because there was things that were going on that kind of superseded everything. It might be the fact that they're 2 hours. I mean, think about it, too. NXT is an hour show. These guys are 2 hours. Raw is 3 hours. Of course, it gets harder and harder, seems like, as hours go on because there's no content now. But look at SmackDown. They've done that in 2 hours, and they put up all the talent now. They put up all the content. If NXT, I think NXT at this point should be 2 hours. Imagine if they went 2 hours.
No.
It should be.
No. I disagree with that, actually. I think they're doing right just keeping it to 1 hour. Because,
I think they should.
Did anybody think Raw going to 3 hours would be a good thing?
No, I don't know.
1 hour,
But I think
1 hour gives you a really good main event, a few filler matches, and a couple of promo vignettes, and you're good. That's all you need.
I mean, the only thing I would like about NXT going 2 hours is way better booking.
I don't think for me, no. I think what it is again, I think it's harder. And if you think about it, it's harder for any brand to be able to put on content for a longer period of time. If all the indies ended up doing 6-hour shows like WrestleMania was or whatever, with a pre-show and everything, the quality will probably go down a lot. Because if you got to think about it, people get restless, they get tired of it, it's boring, it's like 3 hours, damn, how am I going to sit through this whole program? You're watching as a consumer, you're like, damn, man, this is hard to watch. NXT, it's an hour. I give it that advantage. If it was an hour, you get an hour of entertainment. You're guaranteed that hour. They're going to stack a fucking good card on there. SmackDown, for some reason, for me, it's a challenge, but they made it manageable. 2 hours. And they're still able to put on a good show. And that's the thing. I think with Fox Sports, when they were looking at who should buy the rights to stream Raw or SmackDown, Fox was like, they were like, oh, we want SmackDown. If you think about all the executives, all the rumors that you heard, they all talk good shit about SmackDown. They don't talk that much about Raw. They're just like, okay, Raw's there, but SmackDown is like our flagship. And I think they even said their strategy right now is to make SmackDown the flagship. We'll see that for years to come. I think this year is going to be their 20th.
I wouldn't mind it, though.
Yeah, this year's about to be, their 20th anniversary? 1999 this year, right?
Yeah.
So it's pretty big, so you'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens with that. I think the 1,000th episode just passed, right?
Yeah.
So that's not moving on. Let's talk about Tag Team of the Year before we go into Superstar of the Year.
Nick, who's yours?
Well, this was actually the hardest one because not seeing a lot of wrestling, it was hard to really get the scope of things. But I would have went Rollins and Ambrose actually, just for how long they stuck it out. And we got a few Shield reunion moments out of it. Of course, that led to the heel turn and subsequent feud, but it was fun while it lasted.
Yeah. Sal?
For me, it was just Sheamus and Cesaro. I think if you look at the chemistry these guys had from the year prior, 2017, they had a really good year. This whole build between them being rivals and then slowly being a tag team. You see the whole year of 2018. They, if I'm not mistaken, they started out as Raw Tag Team Champions. They ended the year as SmackDown Tag Team Champions.
Yeah.
Big deal for me if you think about it. It's like, damn, man. They're probably the only.
Although I did like your original pick, though, before you switched it.
I picked, of course, before War Raiders.
Which wasn't a bad choice, to be honest.
I think, again, it really connects down to what they do the year prior and what led to this year, too. Because if you think about it, we're going to do a 2019 year in review. We're probably going to look at a little bit of post-2018, what happened, and then we'll follow through with it. That's, I think, pretty much all of our decisions when we think about that kind of stuff. Rich?
Well, being the fact that no one would expect this from me, I'm picking an Impact team.
You heard it here, folks.
LAX.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about LAX, started out in 2006 as this tag team that was with Hernandez and Homicide, right? Conan was like the manager for that whole squad and everything. And then, of course, this whole gimmick that they had a whole slew of gimmicks. People protesting regarding discrimination and all that stuff in the workplace. They did that. They had their whole thing where this, started to, be their own kind of stuff. Then they became wild cards and all that stuff. And then, of course, they came back a couple of years prior and resurrected the two new people. first time you see that, or you probably don't see that as much now compared to before.
And my personal opinion, being the fact these guys are actually from New York, they're from Brooklyn, born and raised, but then they moved to the Bronx and Lower East Side in Manhattan. We actually witnessed them develop from all these little like Legion wrestling that they did in Knights of Columbus's and all that to main eventing, being co-main event at Bound for Glory in Queens, New York, to becoming the longest reigning Impact Tag Team Champions at almost 600 days now, combined, in their 3 reigns.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah. We'll talk about tag teams. Of course,
all their matches are amazing. Yeah. The match they just had with the Lucha Brothers, Pentagon and Phoenix at Impact Homecoming, was amazing.
Yeah. I think, again, also, if you look at this year, we talk about tag teams. Of course, now the big news is, of course, for the first time since, 1986, since the titles were taken out, WWE is bringing back women's tag titles. Pretty big announcement from Santa, what's it called? I should say? McMahon Claus, or, just McMahon in the Santa costume, basically is talking about it.
My whole thing with that, there's not enough women on the roster to do it.
Argument can be made, though. Look at NXT right now. NXT is trying to, female talent. If you look at what they're doing right now with, you see Bianca Blair, you see, Lacey Evans, of course, you see Nikki Cross coming through there, you have what's it called, Io Sharia, from NXT. You got a whole slew of different people from the Mae Young Classic, Toni Storm, from NXT UK.
She might not be in the company much more. She might be leaving wrestling in general.
But I think, again, it leaves the door open. There's going to be someone else going to be coming. Lady DeTapa, who came from Impact, is there now in NXT. You got,
And to be honest, the reason why Toni Storm is leaving, it's horrible.
Yeah.
What's happening to her.
Yeah.
But as the hashtag going around Twitter, we at the RSN podcast, we support you, Tony.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't leave.
Yeah, that's right. Well, we're talking about people leaving. I gotta start this out. Superstar of the year. For me, I picked Roman Reigns. It's hard for me to say that. Think about it. A year ago, for me, so think about it and saying Roman Reigns is a superstar of the year for 2018. I'd be like, bullshit. But it's true. It is for me. That's the thing of it. Here's the thing of the fact. You think about it. His story started, of course, trying to main event WrestleMania. He ended up main event WrestleMania. Time and time again.
5 times in a row.
Yeah. He started, fighting for the Universal title. Didn't win the title. Greatest Royal Rumble. Had a little flop. Didn't happen. Then, of course, I think, what was it SummerSlam. Failed it too. Was it SummerSlam?
Although he did technically win at the Greatest Royal Rumble.
Yeah, he technically did. But then, of course, they made a story just to try to get the fans into doing it. Again.
Oh, Brock's back hit the floor first. Yeah. Okay.
Exactly. It's always, again,
Roman left the cage first.
Exactly, yeah. And then it's always the argument of, this is why wrestling's fake. Hey, listen, they could manipulate all the other rules. What's still the story? Roman Reigns isn't champion. I think that's
okay. Your show, Game of Thrones, that's fake also, guys. Just so you know.
We make all the arguments. You watch anything on Netflix, Black Mirror, that's all fake. Come on, man. But it's entertaining. Bird Box just came out. It's fake, though. It's pseudo. They call it pseudoscientific. That's the thing. It's all fake, too. Come on. But then it's just, again, for me, it's just, again, if you look at Roman Reigns, of course, doing this whole thing. People don't like Roman Reigns. But if you look at what happened, of course, later on in the year, the whole leukemia thing.
It's like me and you said in a shoot a couple months back. We don't like Roman Reigns, but we respect Joe.
That reveal, I think, actually took his character into something else. I think because that kind of made people say, besides the fact that he's leukemia, kind of went, "Oh shit, this is an actual human being." And if you look at his whole time and everything, people might not like it. He won, the Royal Rumble. He won almost every single title in WWE over a span of a short period, which is pretty big. So now it's just a matter of, okay, what's the next step now? And of course, he did everything now. So if he does come back, we're probably going to be seeing something, going on, maybe, And I think it's a different outlook now on the character. People look at it and just keep looking at Roman Reigns as a character where, he's Vince's boy, he's this, he's that. The failure, WWE's failure to make this guy a big star, in the eyes of the casual, the quote-unquote, what they call smart marks. He's still, doing this thing. So I guess, that now it's just a matter of WWE doesn't fuck this up, which most likely they will. So let's see how
Nick, who's your selection?
I have to go with Seth Rollins, actually.
Seth freaking Rollins.
Whether he's the guy you could always count on. That hasn't always been the case. As you know, back in 2015, 2016, he's quite injury prone, but 2018 he actually had some good luck, and he's just been the guy who could consistently perform. He's always in the main event scene, and he's fared much better as a babyface than a heel, even though he was booked better as a heel. But the sky's the limit for him. And hopefully we just see more good things coming from him. If 2018 is any indication, I think 2019 should just follow suit.
Yeah. One of the highlights, I think, if you look at Seth Rollins, I gotta say that gauntlet match. I think what one was it, the beginning of the year or probably a little bit after?
Right before Elimination Chamber.
Yeah, this is right. So this is probably off the heels of this is probably off the heels of Royal Rumble, I think, right?
I think so.
Yeah, around that time. So, but that was fucking brutal. It lasted an hour.
What was it? An hour and 3 minutes on Raw?
Record, man. Like, how the fuck? I think Chris Benoit is a record. I think to being in a match for the longest period of time. I think. So I think Rollins.
Well, if you remember this, if you add up all of Brock Lesnar's match times from when he made his re-debut, Seth beat him by 2 minutes in one night.
That's crazy. And the amount of time this guy's in the ring compared to Seth is like the workhorse. That's what they basically dubbed him, the workhorse. A couple years ago, Dolph Ziggler had that, that moniker. Seth Rollins basically is carrying that now. Rich.
Yep. My pick for Superstar of 2018 had a 5-star match with your pick, Sal, and is the dream match with Nick's pick of Seth Rollins. The phenomenal AJ.
Hell of a year this guy's had, right?
What was that?
He had a hell of a year, this guy. AJ.
Oh, definitely he did.
Oh my God. From the start to finish. The longest title reign since, I think, since a while, right? He held the title for almost a year.
A little more than a year.
And he's been competing consistently, even with injuries and stuff.
Well, if you all remember this, he was on the European tour, took a red-eye flight to fight at a pay-per-view the next night on Sunday. Remember, he performed Thursday, Friday, Saturday, took a red-eye flight Saturday into Sunday, performed at the pay-per-view, performed at Raw, and performed at SmackDown.
This is what?
All within a 5-day span, he did all of that.
And also constantly putting in matches, putting in, quality matches. Of course, we could probably eliminate a couple of matches. WrestleMania, of course, being one of them. Of course, he had a good match with Nakamura, but then that result was like, really? Come on. And of course, constant. I think AJ Styles, I think this is the year where he's got low blowed so many times. Beginning of the year, he got low blowed. The end of the year, he got low blowed.
We're sorry, Wendy, you're not having kids this year.
Not today. Nope. Especially with AJ, it's just constant, this kind of stuff. He started out as champion, feuded with Nakamura, ended the year by facing Daniel Bryan.
Well, there's only one negative thing about right now with him. If this contract dispute does not go in his favor, because he wants 3 years part-time, they want 5 years full-time, AJ might be going to All Elite Wrestling.
Yeah. And possibly after that, New Japan. I think he's probably going to have to go back to New Japan. And if you want to throw Impact Wrestling, if they were to say, hey, you know what, AJ Styles and offer him a contract, they definitely would probably give him all the money they want. They would say, fuck yeah, bring him on. This is the best wrestler in the world. Why give him up? Big mistake in WWE, so that's one thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And if they lose him, it's going to be bad for WWE.
They're gonna give Brock Lesnar X amount of dollars to come back instead of fighting UFC, but they're gonna let go of this big star, the guy that puts in all the work. It's a no-brainer. But yeah, so this is our basically year-end interview podcast. Basically, we talk about the year 2018, the Slammlammies, should we say? So, of course, basically, you can follow us on all of our different platforms. We're on, of course, Anchor. We're on Spotify. We're on Android Podcasts, Google Podcasts. We're also on Apple Podcasts. We're also on Castbreaker. We're on
YouTube.
We're on Facebook.
Instagram, Twitter.
We're also on PWO, Pro Wrestling Opinion. Check out Pro Wrestling Opinion as well. You can check out Nick's new series, Intermission. Check it out. It's a 15-minute segment. Goes through all the stuff that's going on in wrestling right now. We talked about our shoot. We also have our shoots coming up. By the way, our shoots are now monthly. So that's another big thing, too. But if anything,
unless something big happens, then we'll be there.
So it's on call. So that's another thing, too. But if anything, like I said, you can also follow us on Facebook, on all of our social media platforms, Instagram, Twitter.
And we're up for, if anyone wants to be a guest on our show.
Also promotions.
Give us your information.
Right. Another thing, too.
We'll let you guys know when you're available, and we will have you on our show.
Right. We're reaching about 1,000 views on all of our platforms right now. So, of course, if you're looking for promotions, wrestling-related, non-wrestling related, definitely, we're open. You want to work with us? We're open for it. You can definitely give us a call, reach out to any of us on our social media platforms, and we'll see you guys out. This is the Mastermind Sal.
This is the big guy, Rich.
And this is Nick saying farewell.